Hi guys, it's Jennifer and I'm here for another video in my series on long distance walking. Today I'm going to talk about nutrition. When you're going out for walking, I mean, it's always a good idea when you're exercising to be eating healthy. But when you're doing really long distances or you're gearing up for a race, it's really important that you're thinking about your nutrition. Now, a lot of people just think, well, I need a carb load all the time. No. I mean, there is a purpose for that. We'll get to that. But really, for the most part, you need to be having a balanced diet of, healthy fruits and vegetables, lean meats, things like that. Complex carbs. So you want to look for things that are multi-grain and, kind of whole grain kinds of things. And just think about balance as you're training and leading up to either a race or going out for long distance. So if you're going out for 8 or 10 miles, you should be thinking about that kind of stuff. Now, when you are leading up to a race though, people do talk about carb loading. There is a purpose for carb loading, and that is that you're trying to fill up all of those, my understanding is, you're trying to fill up every last cranny of your muscles with glycogen, which will be stored until you start the race, like the next day, and then you can use that to burn off so that you have extra energy. So that's why people do carb loading. But you don't need to eat a ridiculous amount of pasta the night before a race. You don't even have to have pasta. But it is a good idea to think about the kinds of carbs you are having the night before a race. You do need to have some carbs. And the morning of a race, having some carbohydrates is a good thing too. Let me talk about the night before first. So I usually do have pasta the night before I go out for a really long distance. Because I've been doing it so long, I don't worry too much about doing like 8 or 10 mile things, but like the night leading up to a half marathon, I know I'm going to be exerting more energy and working harder than if I were just to go out walking 13 miles, not in a race. When I'm getting up into higher mileage for training for a full marathon, which I'm going to be walking in January, and I'm getting up to 16, 18, 20 miles, I'm definitely going to be eating some pasta or some simple carbs the night before. You don't want to have complex carbohydrates. If you're eating whole grain kinds of things, they're not going to break down fast enough to help you out the next day. But what I also do, even though I've said before in some other videos, like tag videos, what's your favorite food? And I always say cheesy pasta. But having greasy, cheesy, heavy stuff the night before is not a good idea. It's not a good idea to go out for the Mexican food that's just slopped with melted cheese and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there are kinds of Mexican food that you could eat that would be appropriate to eat the night before a race. But you want to make sure that you're not having that heavy, greasy stuff. You just will notice and you will not feel very good. You'll feel kind of sluggish. And you really don't want that. So typically what I will do is get some kind of pasta that's has a marinara sauce, maybe just a light bit of Parmesan on top of it. If it's a primavera and it has vegetables in it, that's great. So something like that will help, that will break down easily and give you energy for the next day. I'm going to do another video though in this series about weight loss, like whether or not you lose weight from racing, and some of this stuff factors into that. So be sure to watch that video when it comes up in a few more weeks down the road. But anyway, so you want to make sure that you're getting some of those things that are going to break down easily. The next morning, you want to make sure that you eat not a ton of food. A big breakfast is not good. And I will tell you that one time I was going out for 14 miles. I was training for a full marathon and I went out for 14 miles. I was being stupid. I had kind of thought, I've done a marathon before, and I'd done one full marathon before. I was sort of feeling overconfident, I guess. I woke up this one particular morning and I was feeling kind of protein starved, and I had some eggs and sausage. Not really thinking much about it. Went out to do my walk with my sister-in-law, and I was not doing well. Got about 8 miles into it, and I just was feeling not right. And I was also super thirsty. I just felt like I had to constantly drink water. And at one point, I just had to sit. I just had to go sit in the shade. I was overheating, and and maybe, you know, I'm not an expert in exercise science or anything like that. So I don't know if maybe there was something else going on along with it, but boy, I attributed it to the fact that I did not eat the right kind of food that morning. And so yeah, I've never done that since. Usually what I do on the morning of a training walk or a race is I'll eat a bagel or a half a bagel. I will put on some cream cheese, not a ton, but I will put on some cream cheese. Usually I eat a banana or a half a banana. I drink very little coffee, just a tiny bit usually, mostly because I just don't want to have to pee when I get out there. And so, and I drink a little bit of water. You hydrate really well leading up to your training, your long training walk or a race. You want to make sure that you're hydrating every single day really well. The morning of a race, I do drink a little bit, but I don't drink a ton, because if you just slam a bunch of liquid, it's just, your body can only absorb so much at one time, so it's going to go straight to your bladder. So, so I drink a little bit then. But just really something very simple, not heavy. The other thing that I want to mention, and I've mentioned this in my hydration video, is the importance of electrolytes and electrolyte replacement. So when you sweat, you're losing fluid, you're also losing salt. So like you probably know, if you've been out in the sun and or you're exerting yourself outside and it's hot, that once the sweat dries, you sort of feel rough even on your face. You know, I always thought that was kind of like from my face being wet and then like dust or whatever kind of sticking to the sweat, but it's salt. That's why when you finish exercising, your dog comes up and like starts licking your ankles. So we're losing salt. And if you just continue to drink water and you don't replace the electrolytes, or you don't replace the sodium, then your body can't hang on to it. And so it's a really serious condition if it goes to an extreme. It's called hyponatremia, and it can be fatal. So you also want to make sure that you're bringing some stuff with you to replace your electrolytes. You can do that with a sports drink. You can also do that with Sport Beans by Jelly Belly. Take a look at that video I have on hydration and the blog post that goes with it over on BusyBeingJen.com, because I've got a link to where you can get that. And so a lot of things like shot blocks and stuff like that will have electrolyte replacement in them too. So you need to be thinking not only about the nutrition you're eating in terms of food, but also what you're replacing in your body in terms of sodium electrolytes. So that's basically it. But when you start getting up into doing higher mileage, this is where you have to start being pretty careful about things, because you can end up really not feeling well or making yourself sick, and you don't want to do that. So I have a half marathon coming up in a few weeks. My friend Susan is doing the race with me. We are doing this Saturday. We're going to be doing 11 miles, and then the next weekend we do 12 miles. The weekend after that we take a break, and the weekend after that is the race. And so so we're getting to the point where we're really having to be serious about hydration and nutrition and all of that stuff. So just be thinking about some of those things. Over on my blog, I'm putting up a post that goes with this video. I'll link that post in the space below, so you can go straight over there. I will put some links to resources from professionals in this realm, so you can get some more information about proper nutrition. I would strongly encourage you to read up on it. There are a lot of people out there who have tons of experience with marathon and half marathon training, and they can offer you some really solid advice on what to do as you're leading up to these races. So I hope you're thinking about doing a race, even if it's just a 5K and you're only getting out there, you know, for 3.1 miles. I would really encourage you to do it. For me, it's just a real empowering thing. It's exciting, people are happy, it's a lot of fun, and you just kind of feel like you really accomplished something when you're finished. And also the great thing, I always think of a race as being not the culmination of everything. To me, the race is a celebration of the work I've put into leading up to it. And so it's really fun. So if you have not done one, you might want to consider doing something like that if you're physically able to do so. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope it gave you some ideas to think about in your training. The next video I'm going to be putting up in this series next week is called When Things Go Wrong. Because sometimes no matter what you do, you try to do everything right, there's still things that go wrong when you're out for a training walk or when you're doing a race, and so I'm going to share those things with you, so I hope you will join me for that. If you're not currently subscribed to my channel, just hit that button. YouTube will let you know when I upload new videos, which is several times a week. And in this series on long distance walking, it's been about once a week. Some weeks I skip. So I hope you will come along, and I hope I'll see you again. Bye-bye.